Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and I am going to be joined by MurderInc, someone I've known for a few years from the Raid Shadow Legends universe, who now plays a bunch of Lost Ark, and wanted to bring him on the channel to get some perspective, how these two games compare, and ask a few questions about how they were each received. So let's get into it. Hey, MurderInc, how you doing today?
Good. What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Hey, hanging in there, doing good. This is a topic, I've wanted to discuss for a while because, I don't know how much you've been following with Diablo Immortal and stuff, but the game was received extremely negatively out the gate because of monetization and stuff like that. And from my perspective, not knowing a ton about Lost Ark, I did try it a little bit. I've always thought that Lost Ark was a really pay-to-win game too, or at least what I've heard, like in the gaming community. So I thought it'd be fun to bring a Lost Ark player on to figure out maybe why that is. Why Diablo Immortal is so wrong for being pay to win, and why Lost Ark is okay. Like, do these games run things differently and stuff like that? So yeah, we'll just kind of go from there.
Absolutely. That sounds good. And yeah, Diablo definitely made some waves when it first came onto the scene. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you caught wind of that, obviously, like as a Lost Ark player. What was your kind of thoughts on that? Did you try Immortal at all?
Yeah, so I got the beta for Immortal, and I mean, we both play Raid Shadow Legends. We know pay to win. I mean, we grew up
Yeah, for
around it.
sure.
It's huge in that game. So going to Diablo Immortal just from Raid, it's like, okay, this is a little bit expensive, not too crazy. Of course, they fine-tuned things after the beta for the release. And then once I saw that, I said, I'm way too competitive as a person. I just know myself. There's no way I can get into Diablo Immortal and be like, you know what? I'm just going to be free to play. I'm going to chill out. I would just be going for rank 1 all the time. And once I saw what I had to put into it, I said, that unless I become the top person for Diablo Immortal, there's no way it's going to happen for me. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and but you did end up playing a lot of Lost Ark. So what was the difference there? Like, why did Lost Ark make a lot more sense for you?
So, Lost Ark is a game I've loved and I've played way before it was actually released for North America and Europe region. I played in Russia. It's originally out in Korea first. That's where it started. Then I branched off to Japan, Russia, and I got a VPN, played on Russia, loved it there. And I think a lot of the whole like Lost Ark is very pay to win that came from a very ignorant place. I think there were a lot of people who saw like all this hype around it, and that it wasn't their style of game. And I mean, if like fiercely loyal people are to their games, if they see anything threatening, they're going to be like, "This game is trash. Nothing's good about it." And like that vibe caught on and just kind of sent shockwaves. So the Korean version, their culture for games like this is pay to win, and it's just like the way it is, right? Korean MMOs, for the most part, are pay to win. That's their model. They don't like complain about it like we do because they've just had it forever. So they don't know anything else. And it's like normalized over there. Over here, however, it's not that case. Like phone games came up, people were like, I don't know how I feel about this. They're making a ton of money on it for sure. So what they did was they actually changed a lot when they released the North America and European version for Lost Ark. So Amazon took the reins on that. They got the publishing rights to it. And the game is a lot less pay to win than the Korean version. And on top of that, that just goes to kind of back to the original point of it's not as pay to win as people do end up thinking it is. So I was just drawn to the gameplay right away as soon as I saw it. Once I tested it, I fell in love with it, and I think I waited for a year and a half of playing on Russia, saying, when is this going to come out for our version? Now it's out, and I have like 1,800 hours on it.
Oh wow, okay. So yeah, you've got a
Oh
you
yeah.
you got a deep understanding of it. Well, that'll be good then, because I've got a as a content creator for Immortal and running a massive clan and stuff like that. I've got a pretty good understanding of Immortal as well, so we can compare. So, can you whale out though in Lost Ark? Like, can you spend $100,000 and get some massive advantage?
Yes and no. So this is where Lost Ark's very unique. They use a system called stoplight progression. I'm not sure if you've heard that term before. So what they do is they release content, and the content requires a certain item level. So, perfect example is I'm actually going to go to my screen and go to my character here. My character right now is considered a whale item level of 1505. At the moment in the game, the highest item level requirement content is 1460. Do I get an advantage for being this? Flexing. That's literally it. All I can do is flex. I can sell runs that people have to progress through. I can team up with 3 other players. It is rather difficult. This is definitely a hard MMO for sure, much harder than anything I've ever played, but the only advantage I get is flexing. You get things like you can see my weapons are glowing. The higher weapon level you have, the different glow you have. So it's like a flexing thing. But as far as whaling, you do more damage than other people, but I cannot complete more content than someone that's free to play, and that's item level 1460 because they use this stoplight progression system that I'm talking about, which means that all I'm doing is getting ready for whenever they release the next set of progression, which is going to be, and funny enough, 1470. So I'm already past that, right? So as soon as they release the next content, I can do all of it day one. That's my only advantage as a whale in this game as of right now. There are other things like cosmetics you can buy with money. That's, I don't know if you want to call that necessarily pay to win, being able to look good. I don't personally think so. There are other pay to win things like my weapon. There's a quality system. I have 70 quality right now. I can spend $1,000 to try to get this to 100 quality, and under additional damage, it says 19.81. It'll keep going up and up and up until I get to the max damage of that. So I can increase that. Once again, it's more damage, but since they use this stoplight progression system, it's just me overgearing content, making it easier for myself, making it so I can sell carry runs that free-to-play players wouldn't be able to do for a while, and I can do all of the content on day one. But the way, and the reason why it's called stoplight is there's always that stop at the end for a whale. So by the time new content has come out, a free-to-play player and a whale player will have been doing the same content for months at a time already.
Okay, I see. They've got a similar thing in Diablo Immortal called combat rating, where kind of your whole character boils down to one number, and then it basically hard caps you. Like you can't do you can't fight a 3,000 combat rating boss if your combat rating is 2,000, because they'll just completely slaughter you and you'll do no damage. So there is no skill. It's like you're just gated. So yeah,
Okay.
they have a similar kind of number system on your character in Diablo Immortal as well.
Yeah, so it's funny you said that because there's a similar thing with bosses here, except for you actually want to play with whales in Lost Ark because there's a world boss, and you can hit the world boss at item level 1440. You have a 25% chance of hitting it, a 75% chance of missing. All you have to do is tag it once to get from it. So you want people like me that are 1505 to go and kill the boss while you just sit there and tag it and get really good gear. If not, it's you have to go and kill like the tier before it because it's just way too hard.
Yeah, there's a similar thing with like the raids in Diablo Immortal, where you can have like one whale carry a few people so that they can clear the content and stuff like that. What
Yeah,
about PvP? Does it normalize, or can you?
completely equalized. I'll actually show you right now. It's the greatest system I've ever seen in any single game here. So this is what PvP looks like right here. You get something called Book of Coordination, and it resets everything about your character. You pick your stats, you pick your skills, you pick your skill level, and everyone goes in on the same playing field. The only thing that matters is skill.
Oh wow, that's insane. So you can't spend money to get an advantage in PvP. It's impossible.
You cannot. The only type of PvP where you can gain an advantage is separate from the PvP system. So this is like arena where you fight other players in like a enclosed setting here. The only, I guess, whaling PvP is Guild Wars. So as a guild, you compete against other guilds. And like as you can see here, we're rank 3 on this island. There's a bunch of different islands. Wait, let me go to it quick. So there's all these different islands. Some of them are more PvE focused, where you're competing against other guilds. Like you can see the times. here, and the times are like 3 minutes and 44 seconds. So you're competing against other guilds to get the best time of completing this task on this island. The winner gets gold, and then it gets distributed from the winning team. Second place, third place gets it. We participate in a PvP specific island, so you could whale to a really high item level and do really well. This guild royal right here, that's rank 1, they are the top guild in the world, not including Korea, of course. When I say world, I mean like of the NA and EU region here. So there's no one that's ever going to beat them. We get steamrolled by them every single week, and we have really good players. So this is like the one like disadvantage. They're so good that all the other top guilds actually pick to go to a different island to completely avoid them. But the thing with this is the rank 1 reward for this is 100,000 gold on this separate island, and it's the same for this one. So unless your server, and this is like server based, is full of like 3 or 4 guilds that are like massive whales, you're still going to get a very high payout because they can only get 1 place. And the second place gold, the way it is distributed, isn't even that bad. It's 20,000 gold divided by 16 players, 14 players, or whatever that can participate in whatever island you pick. So this is the only, I guess, pay to win PvP part. And most guilds just do it as like a, it's free, so why not? If you get steamrolled by someone better, who cares? All you really get is gold split between players, contribution for your guild. You level up your guild whether you place 1 or 1,000, so that part doesn't matter there. If you want to be really competitive, this is like Lost Ark's way of saying, okay, we understand people can whale in this game. We don't really give you guys a lot of things to like compete whale-wise. Marketing-wise, you can obviously see how it's smart to give them at least somewhere where they can flex against other whales, because if you're just flexing against people that are free to play, it's not that fun. But if there are other whales like actually challenging you, this is their place where you can do it, even though it's, I don't know, arguably some people just like avoid it altogether and they don't really care because it's not a huge part of the game. Like I said, it's mostly just there for the whales.
And why do they have such an advantage? What does the whaling get them? Like, because in Diablo Immortal you get resonance, and resonance like makes all of your stats better and your combat rating.
So basically what you do is, I can show you, I've actually whaled out on this, so I have like a really good guild versus guild character. Like I said, I'm 1505, however the highest item level you can be is 1575. It would take me probably $20,000 to $30,000 to hit 1575. I've never personally seen someone that's 1575. They're rather strict with buying, like outsourced buying. I mean, you can of course buy from them. It's a lot more expensive. They have it that way for a reason here. You buy these royal crystals, and then you can convert it with the currency exchange system that's completely controlled by the players here. It's whoever wants to buy blue crystals compared to who wants to buy gold. So this is fixed, and you can't really mess with this since it's based on supply and demand here. But you can buy gold this way, and it's really expensive. Steam actually caps you out. You can only spend, I don't even know what it is. I think it's like $500 a day or something. So
only $500 a day.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who drop thousands on games like Raid, Diablo Immortal, like that. But Steam actually caps you on this. I think there is a way to get rid of the cap. I'm not really sure what it is, but you can buy from other sources. However, if you do that, you have a very high chance of getting banned. Like I've said, I've never personally seen someone that's 1575, which is the cap of item level right now. It's every, as you can see, my weapons plus 21, plus 25 is the highest you can get. And I think I've seen some 1540s, which means they spent a lot of money. But most people understand the kind of uselessness of whaling in this game. Surprisingly, there were people early on that whaled really hard and they just instantly got banned and never came back. So that was a thing for sure. Even the Guild Royal that I'm talking about, they had a lot of members that were hit with a huge ban wave. But what you can do is, so I have the second preset here, and it changes all of my gear.
So why would they be banned? Because they bought
gold, not from Amazon. They bought it from like a gold selling website.
See, and that's not even really possible on Immortal. like because of the way the market works, you can't really transfer the marketplace in Diablo Immortal's platinum, and you can't really transfer platinum from player to player. It's like it's really hard to pull it off. You have to like list a gem on the market and then tell them what one you listed
Yeah.
at what price. Then they have to go buy it, and you like overpay them or something. It's really convoluted how you would make it work. So you almost can't even do it in Immortal.
Yeah. So that's really the only way to like whale out hard
So you
on
can just
Lost
like
Ark.
give someone premium resource. Like I could start playing Lost Ark and I could be like, "Hey, Murder, could you transfer me some resources?" And you can.
It depends. What do you mean by resources?
Like premium currency or whatever, because you said people would whale out and buy it not from Amazon.
Oh yeah, so for that I'm talking about gold specifically. Gold's used for everything in this game.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
yeah, I can just I trade people gold all the time. Like friends of mine, if they
Okay.
say,
So
"Yo, can you loan me some gold?"
that's a big
I can
difference
just
from Immortal. Okay, because you
yeah,
can't do that in Immortal.
I can loan them gold.
Ah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's like the typical like MMO currency, just gold.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't do that in Immortal. There is no sharing of anything from player to player, so there would be no like third party website type thing.
yeah. So that's pretty much it. And like the people that whale out for guild versus guild, like I was saying, you have a totally separate build, and making a new build is very expensive in this game because it costs a currency to buy gear. They do that so I'm not actually sure why they do that. A lot of players don't like it. They have these things called fions. Let me see if I can find it.
You know
It's
how these
like the
games
most hated
are? They always want
it's
100
the most
different
hated thing in
currencies.
the game. So to use the auction house, to buy gear in the auction house, you need an item to make that purchase. If you don't have any of these fions, you can't buy anything from the auction house, and they're expensive. Like they're expensive to buy. You need to get gold, you need to convert the gold to blue crystals, and then you have to go here, and 850 blue crystals gives you 100 fions, which will get you 4 pieces of gear. And if you look at the currency exchange for 800 crystals, let's just see how much it would be. 7, 8, okay, so it's like 6,000 gold to buy 4 pieces of gear, and that's totally separate from the gear price itself. So I don't really know what this does, to be honest with you. I guess it's
It's
so
a gold
it makes
sing.
it harder for the gold selling like third party places to go on, put up a piece for I don't know, 10 million gold and let someone else buy it to get that gold from that gold selling person. There are ways to get around it, of course. Not everything costs fions. There are some like consumables, but I think it helps Amazon and Smilegate, the origin company, kind of track and crack down on those gold sellers because they can completely ignore part of the market, the most popular part of the market being the gear. So they can only focus on like, okay, this gem that sells for 50 is up for auction for 5 million gold. Something fishy is going on here.
Yeah, it
So
would
they
be the
can
same.
look
Yeah,
into it, yeah,
they
investigate the accounts and
they cap it in Immortal. You can't list something. They have like a price range that you have to list something for sale. You can't list something for a million or whatever. They cap it.
yeah.
So are you one of the best like top players in the server or
Uh it's really hard to gauge something like that.
I asked because I was trying to figure out about what it would cost to be one of the top players in the server compared to Immortal.
You can be free to play and be a top player in the server.
Really?
Yeah, because okay, so like this is a PvE game. It's not known for PvP. It's kind of just added as like a side thing for the game. The hardest content in this game is called Hell Mode. It's a rating thing, and I can go to it right now. Or Inferno. They changed the name for our version. The same thing with Inferno, your gear does not matter at all. You have to be a very low item level. So if the highest content in the game is 1460, this requires you to be 1445, and it gives you everything, even more than the PvP. It gives you gems, which are insanely expensive for free to play players. It lets you automatically pick gems, skills, stats, engravings, which is a whole other system that's also expensive in this game. It gives you everything. So you set this up, and this is now you're now doing the hardest content in the game, like the 0.1% of players that complete this because of the difficulty. You can be free to play and do this, but you have to be good, right? So it doesn't limit
And have to
anybody
grind a
based on their
lot.
spending from doing. You don't even have to grind a lot to do this. You just get this for free once you hit the item level.
And by good, you mean like skilled, you can avoid damage and
Insanely skilled. Like, so they're like endurance tests. So I've done this. I haven't completed it because there's multiple gates. So I think I've done like, I don't know, 13 hours of progression on this. I've cleared the first gate. You have to clear both of it to consider it completed. And I've done, like I said, 13 hours. I think the first gate we got in like 2 hours. The second one takes most people. If you're really, really good, you can do them both in like 11 or 12 hours of progression. The average player would probably take 20 to 50 hours to get this done. But when I say average player, I mean average, very skilled player. So this is content for like the 0.1% skill level. If you get hit more than once by a mechanic, you will die. And you cannot do this missing a player at all. It's like the tuning's very, very tight. You have to take crazy builds, which is why they don't expect you to use your own gear. They let you use this. You can test out anything you want to, and you get another achievement for doing it deathless. So if nobody dies in both of the gates, you get a separate achievement. And the best part about this is you get no gear from this. Everything you get from completing this type of content is cosmetic. It's a title. It's eventually you get a pet. Pets are kind of important in this game. You can disable it. Like I have my pet here, Bubblegum. If I zoom all the way in, it's like this starfish thing here, and it just gives you an extra stat. I have it disabled for everyone else in the game because I don't like seeing a million pets when I'm raiding. But yeah, so there's that. But you can get a special one exclusive to people who only have the ability of getting it from Hell mode or Inferno. I keep saying Hell mode because that's what it's called in the other regions.
it's also hell in Diablo and Diablo Immortal and all that.
Yeah.
So it's less pay to win than raid.
Oh, way less. I've had raid viewers of mine come and play this game, and like I haven't heard from them, and I see they're on all the time. They're in deep, and they're like, it's crazy how I can play this game for hours and hours and hours and just not spend anything. Because that's another thing too. You can whale in this game to spend less time on the game, or you can pay to buy gold to skip having to do your dailies.
So it's kind of like in raid where you could buy the masteries or you could do the Minotaur.
Pretty much.
Because you're basically spending money to save time. Like both players can get their masteries. It's just the whale can just buy them right away.
Yeah, so like if you look at this screen, let me see if it's right above my head. This is a task tracker. Now I have a ton of characters. That's another like indicator that I've either A, played a lot, or B, spent a lot of money. For my case, I haven't spent a ton on this game, but I do play all the time based on my hours here. So the great thing about this game is they have rested experience. So if I don't do my dailies, I can skip it for 5 days. I can log off this game, not look at it for 5 days, come back on, and I'll have 5 days of rested experience. You do still lose a little bit. You only get one every daily. You can do twice. So if you miss 2 dailies, you get one full rested daily. So there is a loss there. They didn't want it to make it completely even because they want people obviously logging on as much as they can. But I cannot play for 5 days, and I'll have 5 days of rested on all my characters. So it's like you don't get overwhelmed.
Are there any caps? Like you farm a certain amount of stuff and then the game caps you out and you have to like take a break?
So not necessarily take a break, but it makes it not worth it at all. So Chaos Dungeons is one daily. You get really good rewards twice a day from this with Aura of Resonance. I have 0 right now. At 0, I can go back into it, but it gives me a separate currency with this separate vendor here. And we can go to Tier 3 Exchange. Now, look what happens when I buy this item right here. I buy it once. It goes up to 170. It just cost me 130. Now it goes up to 170. So, for one of these items, it would take, or I could probably buy 3 of these items by farming this dungeon once. Then the next time I farm the dungeon, I'll be able to buy 2 of the items, and eventually it'll take me 10 runs just to buy 1 of these items.
Yep.
So they like heavily cap what you can do as far as this stuff, because some of these things from this marketplace specifically you can sell for gold, and they don't want people or bots coming into the game and farming this to oblivion. So there's even a cap on this. This is weekly roster limit. You can only get 99 of this item. But on top of that, no one's getting 99 because, like I said, it eventually will take you 15 5-minute runs just to get 1 of these items, as opposed to being able to buy 3 by just doing 1 extra a day. So there is a cap in that sense.
Yeah, Diablo Immortal has similar soft caps that kind of make it so you're better off to wait a little bit. Okay. Cool. Well, that helps me understand a little bit of the different perspective. Because to be elite in Immortal, the way it's structured right now, you really can't do it free to play. I mean, you can be a decent player and you can contribute to a clan, but if you want to be like top in PvP and be an elite player on the server, you really can't do it free to play, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest draw a lot of free to play players had to this game, is that, well, I mean, like I said, this isn't really a PvP game. It has good PvP, don't get me wrong. I personally enjoy it, but it's completely equalized. A lot of the veterans, and this is the only part that is kind of unfortunate. I say unfortunate, but like a lot of players don't like veterans from Korea or from Russia will VPN to our version. And so like right now I'm max level at level 60. Max level is technically 50 and it goes up after that. But I'm item level 1505. You only need to be level 26 in this game, which means you only have to play for about 3 hours after installing the game to enable fully equalized PvP. So veterans will VPN. They'll play this game for 2 hours on our region, and they will get like a rank 1 in seconds because they've been playing for 5 years on their server, and they will just dominate all of the NAEU players just because they're that good. And it's equalized, like I said, so there's no advantage. So you just inspect this guy, and like I said, he's level 26, 27. It's one of those levels. And they troll, they wear no gear. They take all of their gear off because they know it's equalized. So it's just some naked guy standing next to you. And they just carry games. They're like the highest rank in the game.
Oh, geez. Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for joining me. I won't take your whole day here. So is there anything you wanted to ask me about Immortal, or anything that you wanted to make sure we cover before we wrap up, or anything like that?
That's pretty much it. I mean, I was interested about like we briefly spoke about before, the difference between like Diablo Immortal and the normal Diablo games, and you said there was some form of capping involved. The highest players, are they capped on how high they can go for a certain amount of time?
Yep. I can pull it up here if you're looking at the screen. And I can make it a little bit bigger. So the way it's gonna work on Immortal, your level. So you can see right now I haven't been able to grind hard for a couple days, so I'm actually getting a bonus here on my XP.
Okay.
If I grind 6 hours today, this will turn red, and I'll be getting a penalty. So if you're super active, 90% of the time I'm in the penalty, and then like people that don't play as much as you get much more XP than you. It's kind of like a way to help people catch up to the people that are the most active. And then, a lot of the resources that you can sell in the marketplace, you can only farm a certain amount a day. Like I can sell these like gems on the marketplace, but I can only farm 12 of them a day before they just flat out quit dropping. So it's like the most efficient to like get your 10, 12 a day, and then, get your little bit of XP, and then just wait till the next day when these caps like reset.
So how do hardcore players feel about the catch-up process?
The hardcore players like the catch-up process. The hardcore players don't like the caps and penalties. Like the hardcore grinders wish they could farm 100 gems a day and wish it wasn't capped at 12, because then they could make more platinum. The platinum is what you get in the market by selling this stuff. And you know, when you sell something, you can collect your platinum, and they cap you out on the stuff you can kind of farm and sell. And getting access to these legendary gems that sell for a lot, like 64,000, 640,000. You can't do that free to play. You've got to get the legendary crests to get those to drop. But so yeah, it's definitely heavily capped and gated on what you can do per day, and it's why some of the hardcore grinders that want to play 16 hours a day get kind of frustrated.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that I can see that definitely being frustrating for sure.
Yeah.
So there is that upper limit of how far free to play player can go in Diablo Immortal.
Yeah, well, because it's the main cause of it is the resonance. So this right here, this resonance increases your stat attributes, and you can really only increase this by spending. It's very minimal the opportunities you can increase your resonance free to play.
I see.
And it affects all your stats, and it helps you in PvP. So like the biggest whale in Diablo Immortal, literally never lost a game that he was trying to win, like 350-0. Just because he can just literally walk around and use his abilities, and it's a free win. Just because he's got so much more. Yeah, he just got so much more stats than everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. So like, I almost want to say that's a little bit like guild versus guild, but even someone that's whaled like to the top end of this game specifically, the power spike's not that big. Like me being 1505, if a 1575 came up to me, I'm properly geared, statted, all of that stuff, they won't be able to one-shot me. There's even engravings you can take, which are like kind of like talents that you can add to your character that prevents you from getting hit by a fatal hit and gives you like a second chance. And you can just get healed up, and then you can tag team that person. So it is definitely a bit different in that sense.
Okay.
But I would say the biggest pay to win part of this game, and I'll kind of like slide myself over for sure, is definitely oops, not the screen. The skins. And with summer, they release the bikini skins. So players they're just buying all the bikini skins and trying to make their characters as revealing as possible. And that's like, I don't know, that's definitely a huge money sink in this game for sure. I mean, it's not that expensive. I say huge, but
yeah, I mean, most people aren't against cosmetics because it's not like a stat affector. Yeah, so
yeah.
Okay.
But that's definitely what most people spend on in Lost Ark for sure.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining me and helping me learn a little bit about the differences between Immortal and Lost Ark, and taking the time to join me on the channel.
Absolutely, it was a lot of fun for sure.
All right, take it easy, Murder. We'll see ya.
All right, take care.